For decades, securing international manufacturing contracts relied on a simple equation. Buyers looked at the cost of production and the durability of the final good. Minimizing price while maximizing quality won the market. But global supply chains are now forcing the sudden addition of a third metric into that calculation. This is carbon performance. In the current market, it determines whether a product is viable for export. Low costs and high durability are no longer sufficient to secure a contract if the manufacturing process carries a high carbon footprint. This shift creates an immediate challenge for India's heavy infrastructure. These are unpauseable industries, sectors that form the physical backbone of the economy. Steel production is a primary example, where blast furnaces must run at extreme temperatures 24 hours a day. Cement plants operate on a similar scale, maintaining a constant flow of materials to support domestic construction and urban growth. Refining and chemical networks act as the lifeblood of the supply chain, processing raw materials in a never-ending cycle. These sectors cannot simply shut down to wait for zero-emission alternatives that are still years away from commercial viability. Stopping these operations would stall national growth and eliminate millions of jobs. But ignoring the carbon transition would eventually cut these industries off from the global market. To bridge this gap, companies are adopting a strategy known as carbon intelligence. This moves beyond compiling a backward-looking sustainability report at the end of the year. It integrates emissions data directly into daily operations. The first pillar is precision measurement, tracking emissions at the exact point of release, in real time. That data is then used for benchmarking, comparing the facility's performance against global competitors to identify inefficiencies. Companies then use these metrics to forecast future carbon costs, allowing them to plan for the financial impact of environmental regulations. Finally, this data guides the engineering of lower carbon products, creating a feedback loop that continuously reduces the facility's footprint. Mastering these 4 pillars turns carbon management into a proactive tool for maintaining a competitive edge. For the heaviest industries, operational data alone isn't enough to reach net zero goals. They require a physical way to strip carbon from their output. This is where carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or CCUS, becomes the critical pragmatic solution. CCUS systems work by trapping carbon dioxide at the industrial source, separating the gas before it enters the atmosphere. This allows multi-billion-dollar plants to continue their essential production, while the captured carbon is siphoned off for storage or industrial use. CCUS acts as a bridge, neutralizing the climate impact of a facility while preserving the industrial capacity that the economy depends on. Deploying these hardware and software solutions keeps India's domestic factories viable in a world with tightening environmental standards. Mastering this transition secures India's position in global supply chains that increasingly prioritize low-carbon suppliers. For the fertilizer and chemical sectors, maintaining continuous operations is a requirement for agricultural stability and consistent food production. Carbon management has moved from a voluntary checkbox to a core requirement for remaining relevant in the international trade landscape. The central question for corporate leaders in India is how quickly they can integrate this operational intelligence. This transition is a race. Hesitation risks losing market share to regions that adopt these efficiency standards more rapidly. Consider which strategic sector, steel, cement, refining, or fertilizers, must be prioritized for the first wave of large-scale carbon capture deployment. The industries that internalize carbon intelligence now will be the ones setting the standards and securing the contracts in the next era of global manufacturing.